Call to order, Kathleen Allen, Amy Callan, James Bell,
Here.
Brian Chetney,
Here.
Tom Chapa,
Here.
Randall McGo,
Here.
Samuel Tripp,
Here.
Elise Manicha. If you'll now stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And tonight, no one has signed up to speak, so we will move to the Board of Education portion. Proposed board policy updates, that the Board of Education review and approve the second and final reading of the presented policies. Is there any questions? Motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Ui?
We have no recognitions tonight, no presentations tonight, because we're trying to keep it abbreviated for the break.
Yeah.
We knew we'd have a small crowd, and I'm like, let's wrap this up. So we have a lot of recognition at the next meeting and the meeting after, not only musicians, but athletes and also some academic kids. And then another presentation coming very soon about, what's next on the calendar, ESSA? No, enrichment programs and
We'll be having some budget updates too.
and budget will start becoming.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Last year, I think, typically we do our first budget presentation the second meeting in February, but it's coming. We've been working on it, and we submitted the tax cap today, so we're getting there.
Next, committee discussion. Would there be any discussion from committees tonight?
I don't think there've been any. Facilities is kind of quieted down for the time being, but we'll be ramping up again soon. We
When
do.
is-
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just saying, when regarding the high school to finally wrap? For
For the committee?
Well, yeah, for the committee, but also
Yeah.
the project.
The tour?
Yes, well,
Next meeting.
next meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
I've been working with Pat on it.
okay.
He's out this week, but we planned it for the next week.
So we're there next at the high school.
Yeah, yes. We're gonna be there at the next meeting, and then we're gonna break during the superintendent's report, tour it, have a little reception.
Okay. And then we'll set up
Yeah.
a time to do a
Yes.
postmortem at that point?
Yes,
Okay,
if that's what you wanna call it.
that's what I'm still calling
Yeah.
it. The postmortem.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Minutes of the regular board meeting of February 5th, 2019. Special Education Board Report February 19th, 2019. Treasurer's Consolidated Report, Budget Status Report, and District Financial Report, January 2019. Fund Balance Projection, February 2019. Monthly Budgetary Transfer Report, January 2019. Extra Classroom Activities Fund Report, Oswego Middle School, January 2019. Extra Classroom Activities Fund Report, Oswego High School, January 2019. Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No items from curriculum tonight, so we will move to personnel with Dr. Sweeney.
A, professional staff recommendation, leave of absence, Emily Satanic, health teacher from the high school, 5/6 to 6/30, and Rebecca Ware, teaching assistant at Riley, extending her leave from 1/25 to 3/11.
Any discussion? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B, professional staff recommendation, probationary, for a teaching assistant at the high school, Norman Berlin, effective 2/15.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C, extra compensatory position recommendation for Safe Bucks. We're adding Nick Little in as a homework helper.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D, extra compensatory position recommendation for Unified Sports, adding an additional aide for student support. Michelle, can you coach her?
Any questions?
No, I just want to
make a statement that last week I attended the Unified Bowling, which is going on now out to the Lighthouse Lanes. And I'll tell you what, if you get an opportunity and you can find it in your schedule, go out and watch those kids bowl. It's so much fun. They are having a ball, and it'll bring a smile to your face just to watch it. So I encourage you to go catch the match.
Motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E, extra compensatory position recommendations for the high school, adding in 2 ticket takers. There were a couple dates that we had other conflicts with our set list. So John Edwards and Kathy Miano.
Any questions?
Wait, I have one question. This
Yeah.
is just work that they've already done.
Yes.
Right? So they were subs.
They weren't board approved in
Right,
the
so you need
subgroup.
our approval in
Yes.
order to disperse that.
We can't move the money
Gotcha.
forward for them.
Yeah.
Motion, please.
Move
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Opposed?
F, extra compensatory position recommendations for spring sports. JV boys lacrosse head coach, Thomas Grover III.
Any questions?
Can I make a
Motion?
comment?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Tom Grover is our DARE officer. So he works with our elementary kids, and he also works at the Oswego Middle School. And he's coming on as our JV boys lacrosse head coach. And he also was just awarded Oswego Police Department Officer of the Year.
So there.
Great guy. Yep. So he's kind of ours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
G, extracurricular volunteer recommendation for girls softball, Robert Nandon.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
H, support staff recommendation resignation, Michael Riley as our internal claims auditor, effective January 24th.
Any questions? Motion?
Just want to thank Mike for many years of great service he gave to this district. He was loyal and dedicated and did a fine job, so appreciate it.
He also served as a board member
Yes,
in the 80s. Yeah. Yes.
I think I replaced him.
Yeah.
He moved to California, yeah.
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 And for those of the board members that haven't noticed, I'm sure, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I'm sure it's hard not to notice the new board. When you come in, that center on the left, we had a previous board that was created by students way back in the 70s or 80s. And it had outlived its usefulness, and the little wooden board member chips were impossible to get. And we thought it was time to do something better. And so Nancy and I worked with Dave and the company, and it looks nice.
It does.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I, support staff recommendation, leave of absence, Sandra Sunis, teacher aide part-time at Fitchue Park School.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
J, support staff recommendation, probationary, Donald Fitzgerald, school monitor part-time at the high school, Katrina Scaglione, teacher aide part-time at Minetto, and Kara Shute, teacher aide at Kingsford Park School.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
K, support staff recommendation, permanent, Christina DeStevens, library clerk at Fitchue Park School, effective 3/5, and Nancy Fensky, custodian at Riley, effective 2/26. Both recently completed their probationary period.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
L, support staff recommendation, change of status, Dawn Beckwith, registered nurse, transferring from Minetto to Riley, not effective until 7/1, but whenever we have a position open, it tends to create kind of a domino of one person fills that one, then we need to post. So this will keep us moving forward. And Sarah Straight, food service helper part-time, transferring from the high school to the middle school.
Any questions?
So there's a vacancy in Minetto now, or will?
There will be, yeah, so that's after our action tonight. Tomorrow we'll post for the anticipated opening at Minetto.
Gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dawn was our .5.
No, she was a one-to-one
Okay,
nurse at Minetto.
I gotcha. Yep,
And this is for May Pensero's retirement at Riley.
gotcha.
Could I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And M, our substitute and temporary employees batch.
Any questions? Motion?
Move 'em.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we'll move to finance with Nancy Squires, and she does have a quick question for you guys on the independent internal audit report.
So I've only heard from Amy and Sam on what areas you want tested for the internal audit, and I really need a direction on which way you want to go, because once I let the internal auditors know what section you want tested, then they ask me for a slew of information, and they're supposed to be coming March 7th and March 7th and 8th.
Are you asking the,
Correct.
sorry, are you asking the audit committee, or do you need the full board's feedback?
Well, the audit committee is
Brandon?
Sam, Brian,
Brian?
and,
What?
Fran,
Me.
And Brandon.
yeah. So
So,
we're here.
yeah, so what's the,
there are two
You give them the
areas
choices.
that they're suggesting for testing: purchasing and cash disbursements. That they were relying basically on the federal funds, but as Keely, who is the auditor from Bonadio, said, that is usually picked up on our external audit, or the extra classroom activity funds, of which we did have findings for the last 2 years on that.
And that was Sam's recommendation or
That was
preference?
Mhm.
And the top one is required, so we really don't have an option for one,
No, they just, that's on because they do an annual risk assessment every year.
regardless.
Regardless.
So the other two are the two recommended areas.
Mhm. So I just need to know which way you're leaning.
So my thought is if the other one's gonna get picked up in an audit form anyway, I would suggest that the second one be the one we put forth, so I
Sure.
would agree with
Was that your thought,
Sam
Sam?
Okay.
from an audit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's smart.
Well, I mean, there's no sense
what?
reviewing the
Why-
same exact thing
Right,
twice.
right.
We'll look at the same information.
Okay.
You don't need action on it, you just need an opinion?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Thank you. A is an agreement between the school district and West Hill Central School District. This is to provide health services to one of our students that is attending Parkview School.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B is a use of facilities for Hobie Youth Leadership. That's the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Program, where they have volunteers from local businesses and civic groups. And they act as mentors for the young adults in our area.
Any questions? Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C is a budget transfer from state aid software to state aid hardware for $18,617.90. We are able to transfer in between the state aid to utilize and to maximize the state aid money that we get, and Jamie could use it in the state aided hardware. And this is all for student devices. Any questions?
That's where the money initially fell.
It fell into software, but he doesn't need it in the software category. He really needs it in the hardware category. That's why we're doing the transfer now.
Gotcha.
Motion, please.
Nancy,
Yeah.
is this, are all sixth grade students gonna have Chromebooks now?
We're going to have carts in all the rooms
Yeah.
because of the state testing.
Okay.
All students are going to have to
Have
eventually
access.
take state testing.
We've been working over the last couple of years to get
Yeah.
rid of the antiquated desktop computers in all the elementary classrooms. They all had 5 for many years, a couple decades actually, which required desktop tables, which ate up a lot of space. And we really tried to move away to more mobile devices over the last couple of years, and Chromebooks have been purchased and put on carts. They can sit at the rug and use one, they can use them for assessments, they can work in small groups. It's just better.
And so we're not doing the one-to-one
Yeah, not
devices,
one-to-one.
we're
No.
doing it as groups.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D is a budget transfer for $2,278 from assessments on school property to refund real property tax. And this is for the balance of the appraisal fee that you approved at the last meeting.
Any questions?
I don't have a D on
I don't have a D
No.
on mine
I
either.
don't have that. Good.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Again, again.
I got it.
Can you just explain it to us again, Nancy?
Yeah.
Yes, so at the last
No.
meeting, the board approved
You
a
don't have it.
appraisal for,
Detail about
that we were doing for the branch development, the hotel. And the
Right.
the half that we're paying was $3,900. This is just to fund the balance of that appraisal. The other half was coming from the city.
Great.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Nancy, how are our attorneys that defend this for us, how are they paid? Are they in a percentage, or how, what's their,
That just comes out of the bucket that we have for our legal fees.
Remember, we agreed, the board had some conversation before about if we think that the risk to the district is over a certain threshold,
Right.
that we would ask to be represented at the table on those, and then that comes out of our general legal counsel budget line.
Right.
But it would
Otherwise,
be in
we sit at-
addition to our,
Right, otherwise we just sit at the table with the representative because everybody, they're disputing not the school.
With their
fees,
people,
but the
right.
county, city,
Right.
school, the whole thing, so.
yeah.
but the school tax is the biggest bucket,
It's the biggest bucket with the least representation.
Exactly.
so we need to be there.
Yep.
We get beat on it all day long.
Yeah.
And this was an IDA pilot that they just grieved.
I have a
A
motion.
deal that's not good enough.
That's right. It wasn't known.
They made the agreement, and then they agreed.
I know, and they can.
Yeah.
I have a motion from Tom. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is student rep discussion, but she is not here tonight. So items from the board. Would the board have any items tonight?
I did want to say, I know this is, I should have said this maybe in the beginning, but I had, my luncheon with students this month was with seniors, and that was on Friday. It was very insightful. Probably wasn't one of my greatest student lunches. They stayed 2 hours. We talked about everything from vaping, which we see as a real problem at Oswego High School and across our region right now. We're going to be doing a lot with educational programs at the Oswego High School, and actually pushing it down lower than high school. We think that there's a need for an awareness that Juuls and vaping are very dangerous for students, and we are fearful that kids today think that they're safe. And in fact, they're, in some studies, are shown to be much more significantly dangerous than a cigarette. The kids talk very freely about their concerns about vapes, where they're being used, the ease of using them even in the buildings, on buses and locker rooms. We talked a lot about that. We talked about their plans for college. I asked them about what were their most significant experiences in their K-12 experience at the high school. I asked them about their very favorite teachers. They wanted to talk about the teachers that weren't their favorites, but I tried to keep them on track. A little of that came out. But what I left there after 2 hours realizing is that we've got some rock star students that are leaving our district, and they're applying and getting accepted into some high-flying colleges and universities. I mean, really high-flying. This was a more homogeneous group of kids. Sometimes we mix it up, and I'll have different types of kids. This year, this month was high-performing seniors, and next month we're going to look at a different demographic of kids, but I couldn't get them to leave. You give them a little Pizza Hut and they want to stay forever. I said, don't you people have a place to go?
Did you have to write
They're
vote
like,
for
yeah,
them?
they wanted me
Right.
back for last period
Right.
because it was some ridiculously hard course that I probably couldn't pass. But they wanted to get back for it.
So how will you
that's
use
great.
that feedback from them? I mean,
I use it and I have conversations with Pat. I give him feedback. It's really just an opportunity to let the students be heard and to educate me, because I like to know what the kids are thinking. I think that, you know, after spending 30 years of my career in elementary schools, either as a teacher or a principal, that when I came over to central office, and particularly when I came to the superintendency, and now with the proximity to the high school, instead of finding respite in a kindergarten classroom, I really find that I enjoy high school kids a lot. And I probably walk to the high school every day, or Pat comes over every day. And so last year I started hosting these luncheons with high school students. In our day, probably most of us didn't even know who a superintendent was, or what he did. You know, I just want to create relationships with high school kids, and I really enjoy their company, and it gives me insight. In September, we did a luncheon with freshmen. We talked about the transition from middle school to high school. We talked about how can we make it easier for you? What could we do different that would make your transition experience from middle school to high school better? And we've used that feedback in the past for the freshman first day, for example, or the way that we provide orientation on the first day to freshmen, the types of things that they need. It's very non-evaluative, but we do use the information not only from my own perspective, but to share with our high school folks and our directors about just how we can do a better job. But it's very casual, there's no note-taking. They're very quiet when they come in, and about at 30 minutes in, they're off. So it's just a very enjoyable experience for me, and I think they really like it too. So.
Do you keep in contact relative with the cohort year to year, and do that again? Or?
No, I just started it last year, Tom, and I really haven't done that, because I'm not trying not to track the kids. I don't pick them, but I'll call over to Pat and say, I'd like you to set up, you know, my high school luncheon with kids for March, and during the capital project, for example, 1 month was a combination of varsity athletes and musicians together. And I brought them in, I shared the capital project boards, I asked them what they thought the impact of the capital project would mean to their educational experience, and I asked for their feedback about how we could market it better and what, you know, and they were fascinated by that. Freshmen are a little more, are a little shyer about, you know, talking. But by the time they're seniors, they're ready to go.
and when is your next meeting with them?
My luncheon,
Senior meeting.
my February luncheon was Friday.
Friday.
I already had it. And I haven't decided what cohort I'm gonna ask for in March yet. And it's just me and the kids in my conference table with pizza and, great.
At this time, next on the agenda is executive session. Will there be a need for an executive session tonight?
Nope.
Okay. If I could have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Your names be adjourned.
I went on and made it.
Okay.
On the record meeting.